If you currently feel stuck in your day-to-day life and you feel like you're not moving forward or getting to where you want to go, I'm going to give you the 5 books that has literally transformed my life in terms of the principles and the lessons that I've been able to take away from these books. You can see around me these 2 awards. These are for taking your business to 8 figures or $10 million, and they've actually gotten much bigger than $10 million, but that's what those awards are for. And these other smaller gold record plaques, these are for taking your company to 7 figures or $1 million. This is for the Inc. 5000. Again, all of the awards behind me represent a specific company that we have taken to 7 and 8 figure run rates. I have 2 other awards literally on the way. And these books are the principles and the key pillars of different lessons that we have taken and applied and allowed us to get all of these awards behind me. I would never have been able to achieve that in business without some of the foundational lessons that I've learned inside of these books. And let's be honest, most of you don't have access to these absolutely crazy mentors that are making millions and millions of dollars a month. So the best way to learn lessons of these industry titans and people that have had wild success is by reading their books. And these 5 books, especially the last one, have been some of the biggest lessons that I have taken and that have stuck with me. Again, I've been doing this for 10 years. So these are books that I listened to and I read when I was starting out. And these are lessons that I will never forget. And they have been absolute game changers and things that I have applied in business to excel and grow, not only from a revenue perspective, but as a better person, as a better manager, and a better individual in my day-to-day life. So the first book that I would recommend to anybody starting out that wants to scale their business and hit that 7 or 8 figure mark and become a millionaire is the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. This book was one of the foundational books that really took me from just doing a little bit of marketing and not really understanding how to actually brand and position a business into having winning offers that allowed us to scale to that 7 and 8 figure mark. And I will give you the one lesson that I've taken away from that book and has really, again, propelled me into having these successful businesses. And it's what I now call the Purple Ocean offer, the Purple Ocean method. But what that really is when you're marketing your brand, you can't be too alien. And I'll explain that a little bit more. When you have your offer and when you're bringing something new to the market, there's a way to position your brand in terms of people actually wanting to try you out. There's positioning yourself in a competitive way so that you're attractive to individuals that are looking for your business or for the services that you offer. And then there's being too alien. And when you're too alien, which is basically you're something just completely new, you're offering something that people have never heard of, you almost push individuals away because there's such a hurdle for them to get over to actually take action and work with you. So I'll give you an example. So if we were bringing a advertising service to the market, and the red ocean, the current market is we do advertising, Facebook advertising for real estate agents. If you brought that to the market, that is a red ocean offer because everybody else is offering that specific service and that specific product. So there's a lot of people to go and kind of price shop and just competitor shop, and you don't have anything unique about you. But if we took that to the other end of the spectrum, which is a just completely blue ocean offer, that could be Hulu ads for real estate agents. Now, the thing with that is it's just completely alien. Real estate agents probably didn't even know that they could run ads on Hulu, and it's going to be a big hurdle for them to get over to actually take action and sign up with you because they don't know that that actually works. And what you need to do is you need to be unique enough. So if I went into the real estate space and said, I have an omnipresent marketing system that's going to get them qualified booked appointments on their calendar, and I said something like that, it's unique enough that it's not saying, hey, we do Facebook ads, but it's also not too alien where it's just something completely new and something that the customer that you're meeting with actually has to be educated on. And there's this huge hurdle because you actually have to sell them, number one, that it works, but then number two, that obviously you're a good fit to work with. Whereas if you have a purple ocean offer, or based off this book, you're marketing your offer and you're angling it properly, you're able to bring something new, something unique, but something that's also proven, so you don't have to educate your market on actually taking action. They already know that it works. You're just selling yourself and you're selling your unique system, and that allows you to scale much faster when you're bringing a new product to the market. Positioning in general is such an important lesson that you need to master, not only in business, but also in life, because it really applies to everything. If you're going out there and you're on the market, you're looking for a wife, you're looking for a girlfriend, you need to position yourself properly. If you position yourself like everybody else, you're not gonna stand out. There's gonna be absolutely nothing unique about you. But if you go to the other end of the spectrum and you position yourself as this just completely unique goofball that is just absolutely looked like an outcast, you're obviously not going to attract females or individuals that you want. So again, you need to position yourself differently from the crowd, but not so alien or so unique that you're just absolutely pushing everybody away. And there's a big hurdle for people to get over, to trust, to like, to talk to you, just in general. And that obviously applies to business. It applies to sales as well. If you're in the sales field and you're just positioning yourself like everybody else, again, when you're on calls, it's going to be very hard for people to actually take action, because they're going to be comparing you to everybody else in the field and everybody else that you've talked to. Now, if you take that to the other end of the spectrum, if you're just absolutely, completely insane and different from everybody else, yes, there is a chance that it hits and that it works for you, but most likely you're going to be too alien and too different, and you're going to actually push people away because they're not going to want to take the hurdle to end up working with you or buying from you. So again, you need to position yourself properly and position yourself away from the crowd, but still close enough to the crowd where it's not such a big hurdle for people to take the leap of faith to work with you. And again, that applies to your product as well. So the second book that I recommend anybody trying to start a business and really grow something online is The Challenger Sale. And this book applies to absolutely everything in business, also in life a little bit as well. And it really talks about how to win over people during the sales process. So sales happen every single day. It could be getting something that you want. If you're shopping and you want to get the good price and you have to sell them on why you should get your way. Again, it could be applied to relationships. Sales happen every single day. But if we actually look at what's taught in this book about sales, the biggest lesson from the Challenger Sale is education. And during a sales process, during that back and forth, there's a lot of negative connotation from sales individuals because they're sleazy, they use objections, they can pressure you, and that's not what you want to do in business. That's not the type of individual that you want to be seen as when you're conducting business and when you're on sales calls. Nobody likes that used car sales guy. And the Challenger Sale talks about education. So during the sales process, you're actually educating individuals on why they should use your product, why you're different, educating them about your specific services and about just really the industry in general. And the biggest takeaway of being able to educate somebody during the sales process is that the end user, the person that's buying, doesn't feel like, number one, you're just absolutely wasting their time just pitching your product to them. They feel like they actually learned something and they feel like they got something from that call. And then the second thing is when they actually feel like, oh, like this person's giving me this information, they're giving me this industry knowledge, there's that principle of reciprocation where when you give something to them, they feel like they need to give something to you. And whether they end up buying or they don't, they're going to come away from that call feeling like, damn, like that company just, they really have a good sales process. I feel like I got a lot of value from them. And you're going to be looked at as this expert during the sales process instead of just a sleazy salesperson. So I'll give you an example. When we were scaling from right around $500,000 a month up to $1 million a month, one of the key things that we needed was a external marketing company. Now, I know that sounds crazy, that like, you're a marketing company, why would you go hire somebody externally? And it's the same principle as a bodybuilder hiring a coach for a bodybuilding show. You need external counsel to be able to help you scale and help you produce the best results as possible, because sometimes when you're in it, you can just get lost in it. And we were interviewing all these different marketing companies, these different ad companies, and one that stuck with us, and unfortunately they were out of our price range at the time. They wanted about a $30,000 a month retainer, but he actually took us on the call and educated us about everything that we're going to run into, from scaling our ad spend. From right at the time, we were spending about $50,000 to $60,000 a month, and we were looking to double that to be, again, able to scale to those $1 million a month. And he actually said, like, hey, you're not going to just be able to pump Facebook with more money. You're going to have to go and actually diversify what platforms you're spending on to grow, because there's not enough people on Facebook to actually just continue to spend money. You're just going to increase your cost per lead and your cost per call. And we came off that call being like, damn, like, if we could, and if it was within budget and it wasn't such a crazy retainer, we would have absolutely worked with them. And it actually took us about 5 to 6 more calls, because everybody else we got on calls with was just like, hey, this is what we can do. And they were just that sleazy salesperson. And we did finally find somebody else that, kind of educated us a little bit, but they were just, very straight shooters. They're like, hey, we can do this for you. And what was very interesting about that interaction we had with that one agency is we referred them about $100,000 worth of business over the next 2 years from people that came to us and different mentors that we had that, they were asking us like, hey, do you recommend anybody for ads? And we pointed them in their direction because we knew they had that budget. So that is the biggest key example of that kind of reciprocation when you're on a sales call, that if you have the right sales call, even if somebody doesn't buy from you, but you take the approach of education first on the call, you're going to be positioned as that expert in that field. And even again, if they don't buy, they're going to refer you business in the future. But most likely, again, you're on a call with them for a reason. They are going to come back and buy. Even if they go out and say like, hey, I'm going to, talk to some competitors, or I have other companies I'm interviewing, they're going to come back to you, because nobody is doing that education during the call. Everybody's just trying to sell. They have high ticket closers that really can't educate. But when you take that approach, again, you're positioned as an expert, and that is one of the biggest takeaways from the Challenger sale. So the best way to visualize how you can educate somebody just upfront on a sales call, and the best way that we like to actually transition into educating them about our product, about our service, and the best way to do things, is using the old way versus the new way. And it really allows you to set the stage that, hey, this sales call is going to be one of the most educational and value-based calls that you're going to take, over the next few months or over the next few weeks. And the way we position this is we actually start the call off saying, hey, this is the old way of doing things. And even during the discovery call, we ask them little things that'll lead up to, and transition into the old way of doing things. So let's say we're a Facebook ads agency and we're picking the customer's brain and asking them, hey, what are you currently doing for client acquisition? And sometimes they'll say magazine ads, or they'll say newspaper articles, or whatever kind of the old traditional way of doing things is. Obviously now sometimes they don't answer those questions, and you still have to get into the old versus the new. But whatever they say, we'll be able to position that as like, hey, those things are great, but that's the old way of doing things. And we'll list out like, doing magazine ads and shopping cart ads and billboards. Hey, this is the old way of doing things. Transition into 2024, 2025. This is the new way of doing things. You run Facebook ads with layered YouTube ads and Google ads, and this is the new way, this new systematic way of doing things. And by saying like, hey, this stuff, the old way of doing things, it's not bad, but you need to get into the new way of doing things, and you need to be updated. And again, whether you work with us or you don't, you need to be educated on the new way of doing things, because that's going to help you grow your business and excel, with whatever solution you end up working with. So when we're on sales calls and we're able to take the customer in that mindset and kind of through that journey of, hey, this is the old way of doing things, this is the new way of doing things, let's show you. It allows us to, again, not only take that educational piece into the sales call, but then it also helps us transition that discovery and that kind of setting the tone of the call into us actually pitching individuals about our service and about what we can do for them. So the third book that really changed my mindset and transitioned me away from being this individual that just did marketing and worked with a couple clients into actually having these sustainable 7 and 8 figure businesses that I really wasn't a part of and that just kind of ran themselves, was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And most of you probably have heard of this book. If you haven't, you must just be completely new to entrepreneurship, and it is an absolute must read. But it really sets the tone in regards to having this freedom in business and the way that you can approach business without just completely going down the rabbit hole. So there's two things that I really took out of the 4-Hour Workweek. Obviously, number one is working 4 hours a week, but what that really is delegation and hiring individuals, specifically VAs, which are virtual assistants, to run and manage your business so that you're able to actually go out, check in, look at little things, but have the freedom to do what you want on a day-to-day basis. So the biggest thing with business, and unfortunately, so as a business owner, it can be really hard to get stuck in the day-to-day operations of your business instead of really treating your business as this freedom vehicle that allows you to work just a few hours a week. And inside the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, Tim really breaks down how to go about delegating out work to different VAs, different contractors, and different individuals that can absolutely just take over the day-to-day operations in your business, and really goes over how to actually work 4 hours a week, what things you do need to be focused on, how to get different reports, how to look at them, and what things that you really need to be delegating out so that you're just not sucked into the day-to-day operations of your business. And the second thing, the other little lesson that I've really kind of taken to heart and is something that we've done a lot in our business that I took away from this book, The 4-Hour Workweek, is launching fast. Now, inside the book, Tim actually runs through one of his first product launches that he did. And what he ended up doing was he launched a product and started selling. He started running ads and getting people to purchase from a funnel a product that wasn't even actually launched yet. And what that allowed him to do is it allowed him to prove the concept that, hey, this product, this service is actually going to work before even having this back end. And then all he would do is he would refund people, or he would say, hey, like, this isn't ready, this is a beta. If people bitched, obviously you get a refund. And then he was able to prove that, like, hey, this is actually worth spending time on. And then once he proved that, like, hey, this works, this is great, then we go out and we build a whole system and we build a whole business around that specific service or product that actually works. And we've actually taken this approach into our different marketing agencies and the different businesses that we're a part of. When you get to a specific point in business, it becomes very easy to just put up different businesses and to scale. And we've gotten very good at starting businesses and scaling businesses. And the biggest thing that we still struggle with is that we need proven offers. Like, we can come up with offers a day, we can come up, with different angles, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to prove these offers. And it doesn't make sense for us to just spend all of this time building out a company with back-end individuals, hiring people, when we don't even know that that product's going to work and that service is proven, and that when we get on sales calls, people are going to even want that product or service. So what we do is we do a soft launch where we're able to throw a part-time individual. Now, that's a luxury that we have, is we have these people on our team that we can place, but we don't build out any back end. We build a sales presentation and we start getting on calls. And then if somebody signs up, we have a part-time person that we're able to be like, hey, take care of it, figure that out. And, we can prove these offers and prove the services that we have and that we're selling before we actually go and build out any automations or backend, so that we know that we're not wasting time. Because it's super easy to throw up a sales presentation. It's super easy to throw up a funnel to sell a low ticket product or some kind of product. It's not easy to put together all the automations, all just the absolute back end onboarding, support, ticketing system, delivery, like all this crazy stuff that you need to actually run a successful business. And really what this kind of gets at is just doing revenue producing activities. Get into business, start taking action, start seeing, again, whether you have something on the back end or somebody for fulfillment or a product even to sell yet, put together that idea, put it on paper, start selling it, start getting some yeses, and then figure out the rest as it comes. Even if you have to, stop taking sales calls or you shut off your ads, at the end of the day, you need to be able to prove what you're selling actually works and warrants you taking the time to build out the back end and to build a business around your offer or the service that you're going to be offering. Delegation and just launching products as kind of a beta launch, or just getting out there and pitching people your product and figuring out everything after and taking action. Those are the two biggest lessons that I took away from the 4-Hour Workweek. So the next book on my list of books you absolutely need to read and check out as somebody getting started in business is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Now, a lot of people hate the guy. A lot of people love the guy. He's gotten a lot of bad press. But at the end of the day, the 10X Rule is something that has really become bigger than Grant himself, because it's the principle of having a goal but then 10xing it. Because because everybody's heard the saying, if you shoot for the stars and you end up at the moon, like, you still got farther than most people have ever gotten. And that is the same principle as the 10x rule. When you're setting goals for yourself and you're imagining this life, a business, again, different relationships, whatever it might be, you want to always just absolutely shoot for the stars and imagine the craziest thing that you absolutely could. And then even if you get halfway there or a quarter of the way there, it's still going to be much better than where you're currently at. And there is something to be said about setting too small of goals, that it doesn't really kick you in the butt to actually get started. So if I wanted to lose weight and I was like, I want to lose 2 pounds, do you know how much I'm gonna really care about trying to hit that goal? Because I know that I could lose 2 pounds in a week. That's super easy. So it's something that I'm not gonna really try, and it's not something that I'm gonna just completely change my day-to-day habits, because I know it's not that big of a goal, and I could really not even try and lose that weight. But if I was like, I want to lose 30 pounds, well, shit, I got to clean out my fridge. I got to clean out my cabinets. I got to change the way I act. I got to do cardio every day. I got to completely just absolutely change my lifestyle and rethink how I approach life in general, approach fitness, approach nutrition. I have to just restructure everything. And that's the exact same principle of the 10X rule and how you should be treating your goals. If I just have the goal of, I want to be self-employed and have a decent living, I just want to make $4,000 a month. Let's just say that's your goal, because that's what you need to live off of. Number one, you're probably not going to work that hard towards your goal, because realistically, you could start making $4,000 tomorrow if you sign the right deal and you sign the right client. It's not that hard to get there, and it's not really a kick in the butt. I don't think anybody's going to have just an absolute insane amount of motivation to start making $4,000 a month, because it's the reward is okay, cool, I'm making some money and I'm financially free, but it's not that crazy of a reward. So the amount of action that you're going to take and the amount of just space in your head that goal is going to take up is not that much. But if you say, I want to make $25 million a year net, I want to gross $75 million a year, I want to have a super yacht, I want to have a private jet, I want to have a private island. If those are your goals, I know damn well I need to spend almost every waking minute of every single day improving, getting better, and even, looking at different business actions. If I legitimately, that's on my notepad, that's on my to-do list, and that's my goal, that in 10 years, I want to be netting $25 million a year, that is going to absolutely change the people that I look up to and the people that I learn from and the people that I invest with. If I'm trying to make $25 million a year, I'm not going to go find a mentor in my city that's making $250,000 a year, drives a decent car, maybe is in real estate or something stupid like that. I'm going to go find the absolute richest motherfucker I can online, and I'm going to figure out how I can talk with him and become a mentee of that individual and how I can learn from him. I'm going to study the way that they got rich. I'm going to figure it out. So dialing this back a little bit, by 10xing your goals and really just 10xing everything that you do in business, it's going to change the way that you approach your day-to-day tasks, because things are going to become important and things are going to become not important. And if my goal is to make $100,000 a year, or even, less than that, $4,000 a month, there might be things that I'm spending time on that are just super important. But if my goal is to make $25 million a year, I'm not going to give a fuck about any of those things that I care about just trying to make $4,000 a month, because I have these just absolutely bigger goals and bigger problems to actually figure out. So again, the 10x rule is about 10xing absolutely everything in your life. And again, the biggest takeaway for me is 10xing goals, because it really puts into perspective, am I actually working towards that crazy goal? Or am I just getting lost in the sauce and just kind of not doing things that are important? And it absolutely will dictate where you want to be. So I'm not saying that you have to have this revenue-based goal that's just, this is where I want to be. It could be, again, when I started, my goal, and it's kind of fucking crazy to think, my goal was I wanted to have 6 marketing agencies. That was my goal. I have a piece of paper. I need to find it. And I'm at the point where I have that. I achieved that goal. But if I just said on that piece of paper, like, I want to have 1 marketing agency and I want to be financially free, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today, because I would have just been happy with, like, hey, I got that marketing agency, like, cool, like, I'm going to live life. But I've been able to accelerate and really achieve more. It's not even about how much money you make and what you do for yourself. It's about the people that you can provide jobs to and what you can do with the money that you make, the success that you have, the people that you can help. And it's definitely going to feel much fucking better helping 10,000 people than it is just helping 10. So again, the biggest thing is whatever you're trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to do, imagine 10x that, and then start working, and then realize that what I'm doing or what I thought was important today is not important, and that there are other things that I can be doing that are higher revenue producing and just higher leverage activities that are going to get me to my goal faster and allow me to just absolutely crush that little goal that I might have set for myself. So the 5th book that I recommend to absolutely anybody starting out is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, this book is a little bit more out there. It's very spiritual based and it's not directly business based, but I will tell you how it actually helped me achieve more in life and in business. And the whole principle of the power of now is to be present and to be centered in what's happening in your day-to-day life. And it can be really hard just in life. We have all of these emotions. We get angry, we get sad, we get happy, we get nervous, we get anxious. All of these emotions just rush over us on a day-to-day basis, on an hourly basis even. And sometimes it can be very hard to just give in to these thoughts and these emotions that you have on a day-to-day basis. And the power of now really talks about being present and being centered, and really that you have this voice in your head. And again, you have to read the book. It's something that can be a little bit challenging to explain, but there's 2 individuals inside of you. There's this talking thought process in your head, and there's who you actually are when that thought process goes away. And try not to get into that whole realm of things. What it really talks about is being present, and that is super important in business. And no matter what you want to achieve, again, if it's something that you want to achieve in your life, if it is business related, if it's relationship related, if it's revenue related, whatever it might be, it's always going to be a roller coaster. You're going to have wins and you're going to have losses. And the people that make it to the other side of wherever you want to go are the people that can actually stay centered and not let those specific wins or losses go to their head. So, in business, you're going to have failures. Shit's going to fucking happen. things are going to break. We've gotten sued. We've gotten threatened with class action lawsuits. We've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. I've personally had to put $100,000 back into the business just to make it float. And when you're doing that 5, 6, 7, 8 months in a row, your head's gonna start fucking spinning. You're gonna have these bad thoughts, and you need to stay present, and you need to stay just absolutely centered. And the Power of Now talks about, hey, I feel this emotion. I think this emotion, like, this is coming over me. But at the end of the day, I'm staying present, and it allows you to think clearly and not become emotional in the decisions that you're making in business, that you can stay level-headed and you can be analytical. And again, same thing with wins. A lot of times you can get emotional with your decisions in business. And if you're just absolutely getting jacked up, and we've went through this too, where again, I've had to put a lot of money back into the business. I've had months where you make a lot of money and you take a lot of money out of the business. And it can get very easy to let that go to your head. You can start getting this fucking ego. You think you know it all. And then, you stop working, you stop caring, you think you made it. And again, that's going to lead you right into those bad months because you took your foot off the gas, you took your foot off the pedal, and you really just started to check out. Now things are breaking. And you think you made it. You're living in la la land. So for me, the Power of Now has helped me stay centered. And it kind of sucks sometimes because you can feel like this just absolutely numb individual. And I feel like I'm at the point in business where nothing really affects me. And I've had individuals say like, oh, you've had all this success and you don't have an ego, or you don't have this like presence about you. And it's because I've also experienced the shit, and you have to train yourself to just accept whatever happens. And at the end of the day, I know where I'm going. I know where I want to get to. I know what I'm building, and I'm not going to let those day-to-day emotions affect how I act. And it's not going to drive what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I know what I need to do to get where I want to go. And I'm going to stay present. I'm going to stay centered. I'm not saying don't celebrate your wins and don't learn from your losses, but it's about taking in those emotions, understanding why you're having those emotions, and then letting them go, and then continue working and continuing down the path. So for me, the Power of Now, again, everybody takes a little bit different from that book. You absolutely can take that and apply that to your day-to-day life in terms of not judging people, and applying it to different relationships and how you think about the world. Because at the end of the day, when you're in that present just mindset of you don't have any activity going on in your brain and it's just completely silent, life is much more enjoyable. So it is definitely a must read. Again, it's going to apply to business, it's going to apply to your relationships, it's going to apply to life. And it is something that is not going to come quick, and it really is a skill that you have to master about being present and being centered, but it absolutely will help you achieve more in business. I am not one of those gurus that preaches jerking off in the morning and meditating and doing all this crazy shit, doing 30 seconds of a headstand, naked, whatever. I'm not one of those gurus that preaches that. I'm always going to preach taking action over anything else. But I will say the Power of Now really has changed the way that I approach day-to-day things that do happen in my business. And if you are, again, wanting to scratch the surface of just having a better mindset, the Power of Now is absolutely going to be a must read. So these are the 5 books that I attribute to my success and have helped me achieve what I have in business. But if you are serious about growing and serious about scaling your business and having success and financial freedom, click right here and go watch my 7 principles on going from 0 to 1 million.